As I'm sure you've all heard by now, Canon have confirmed the spec to their R5 camera, the 8K beast, which is set to make waves in filmmaking the same way they did a decade ago with the 5D Mark II. Well, yesterday you couldn't move on Twitter for everyone casting their opinion on its price, specification, and how it's going to affect other camera sales and other forthcoming cameras, and how this was going to get into a nice toe-to-toe battle. Well, that all sounds fun, so I thought I'd bring it all together and share it with you now. Along with the other news, of course, that Lumix are about to release firmware for the S1H camera, bringing raw recording to that camera, which of course in itself is going toe-to-toe with the R5. So without further ado, let's look at all of that news, the opinion, and some amazing images from the S1H raw recording launch video. So the R5 Spec got people really popping off on Twitter, including YouTuber Sydney Johnson, who kicked things off with, "Do you think we're ready for 8K? I personally don't think so. Most of our computers won't be able to handle the data and H.265 encoding just yet." So cool to see tech evolving though. Well, I'm inclined to agree with Sydney. 8K is going to be really quite considerable task for a lot of computers to push through. Even in an easy to edit codec, 8K is still going to be very demanding on your computer, and codecs that are more compressed, H.265, unless you have really quite a new computer, something in the last couple of years, you're probably going to find it pretty tricky to edit and have to potentially go down the proxy workflow. Mirroring Sydney's thoughts, Philip Bloom recently on his YouTube lives was asked about the R5 and its spec, and Philip's opinion was that he's super interested in the camera, not so much in the 8K because the concerns that I've just mentioned about editing and data rate and storage. Philip's much more excited about the R5 for the 4K recording, the fact that the camera has its amazing Canon color and autofocus, and 4K at 120 frames per second. Excited? Yes, we are all excited about that. But it's the price is the thing that Canon didn't mention anything about, and that got a few people perplexed. So in that vein, here's a tweet from colorist Richard Lackey. "I don't understand it at all as a product or where it fits in commercially. I'd assume a price tag north of $10,000 to be honest with those capabilities, but nobody would buy a $10,000 to $15,000 mirrorless body camera." Absolutely. As we've all seen over the last few years, quality's gone up, prices have come down. Even Canon, who like to retain a premium price on their kit, you know, yesterday prices came down on the C200 and the C300 Mark II. The C500 Mark II came down in price when that came out not that long ago. The 1DX Mark III came out a month or so ago. That's priced at about £6,500. Now I think in terms of spec, the R5 and the 1DX Mark III, not that dissimilar, just the build quality on that 1DX Mark III, a lot more professional compared to the R5, which is I think going to be a pretty standard build camera. Having said that, I don't see the R5 being any, well, I think $5,000 minimum, $5,000 to $6,000 is about where it's going to be at. I think it's going to sit just underneath the 1DX Mark III. Carrying on from that, with regards to the raw recording on the S1H, Richard Lackey piping up. "I'd be quite keen on the S1H if I bought cameras." If you don't know Richard, he is a colorist and he specializes in filming with the iPhone and doing fantastic editing and Resolve grades using Resolve. So if you haven't checked out Richard, you should have a peep. but very interesting to see that it's pushing him ever closer to spending some proper spondulics on a camera. Gary, the YouTuber, also known as Everyday Dad, talking about the S1H, which we know that he owns. It's an awesome camera. Specs are impressive, but reasonable, and the price matches what it can do. So yeah, Gary, I think a bit concerned about the potential huge cost of the R5. He went on to mention in a later post he would love it if the R5 was $2,500. No, come on, Gary, it's not going to happen. That's not going to happen, mate. Jackson Hayes says, so the R5 sounds cool and all, but I'm not tempted until it's actually a thing. At this point, it sounds too good to be true, at least for any sort of reasonable price. So that's fair enough. I think that's just really mirroring what everyone is saying here, that until you actually get a camera or see it and how well it can actually perform, because it's all well and good shooting 8K, but if you can't actually put it through your workflow, through your computer, and get it out the other side in a reasonable time, then, you know, what's the point? You may as well be shooting 8-bit 4K and just, you know, seeing off the edit. So beyond that, it's very interesting from Jonathan Morrison, TLD today. Canon EOS R5 looks incredible. With that said, if you're looking to upgrade, don't underestimate the value of built-in ND, XLR and dynamic range on cinema cameras. There's going to be some killer deals pop up. 8K RAW is tempting, but lighting, glass, composition will get you so much more. Reading Jonathan's tweet, I was reminded that of course audio is half the picture, and the lack of an audio module, for me, it just doesn't ring true. It doesn't seem right with so much build up that a camera of this quality isn't going to be released with an audio module. Watch this space. So Jonathan's tweet is a great reminder that when it comes to choosing a camera, we shouldn't just look at resolution. You need to have control over the other elements, controlling dynamic range, controlling lighting with Vari-ND, capturing the best quality audio, but also utilizing light and other equipment to create the best rushes that you can. But also in post, of course, you know, is this camera going to give you a good experience in post? Let's hope so. I'm super excited for the R5, and I really hope that it's one which gives us more opportunities and more options, because that's really what we need in order to make the most money back from our investment in a camera. So the R5 has great promise and potential for the future, but right now the S1H is pretty much king of the hill when it comes to mirrorless cameras. Let's take a look at the promo film that some friends of mine made for the release of the RAW recording, which is coming out in May. If you're thinking that this promo looks a little like a Top Gear episode, then you're not wrong, because the team behind it have significant experience with the Top Gear brand. For me, this is one of the best product promos I've seen in a long time. I think the cinematography here is first class. It's dynamic, you've got wonderful colors that just pop, you can see into the shadows, highlights aren't burnt out, you know, it's just come together really, really well. And overall, you can see from the BTS, once you get the grade on, you can take your footage to another level, refine it and finesse it and create something that is really, really special. So hats off to you guys for putting this together, and that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you're stoked about the R5 and the S1H RAW recording. Please like and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. For me, Adam Lorette, it's bye for now.